So, with all the discussion about non disclosures and contracts, it looks as if Tucker Carlson made an announcement as to where his new show will be showing here in the near future. Let's jump right in.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year.
He's not lying.
What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess. It's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
Well, it's pretty big news, Tucker ending up on Twitter. But for me, it's pretty fitting. I've been a fan of his show. Didn't always agree with him overall in every aspect. Like I personally felt I was a little disappointed in his lack of a response to really take on all the allegations of voter fraud during the 2020 election. And I don't know how much of that was him personally, as opposed to what he was allowed to do or say with Fox. So maybe down the road, it'll all come to light. But for right now, what we know is that he'll be on Twitter. And I think he nailed it as far as anything major. Now, there are other sites out there that are a little more open, sites like Gab, sites like Rumble that are a bit more open, where you can speak more freely without worrying about being shut down every time you turn around. But as far as the biggest place where you have a semblance of freedom of speech, Twitter is the spot right now, thanks to Elon Musk. It ain't perfect, trust me. I still see people getting blocked and getting removed. So hopefully this will turn out to be a good thing overall, where he'll be allowed to open up and speak truths. Because if you look at it right now, over the last few years, if you speak anything that is politically incorrect or that is unpopular with the liberal progressive narrative, you will get shut down in a lot of situations. Just look at everything that has happened with the trans debate, the entire LGBTQ agenda for that matter. Look at how the entire COVID lockdowns and conversations with vaccines went down. There were doctors who were shut down, doctors who were basically defamed. So let's hope that this turns out to be a good thing. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Make sure you comment down below. You're here because you're interested in this story, but if you appreciate content that addresses issues from a more conservative and biblical perspective, make sure you give me a subscribe. But before you go, make sure you check out this video right here. I think you'll appreciate it.